Why hello again, and welcome to part 2 of my channel history, or my entire history when it comes to YouTube. As you know, I had to leave YouTube because I was trolled, and I spent a few years off, and of course I was addicted to school debt.
Haha. Even though you are no longer corrupted, you cannot escape the power of school days.
What are you doing here?
You will submit to me and my willy. It is futile to resist my willy.
I don't. I'm totally sorry about that.
My willy.
I'll basically meme the heck out of the school days cast. They're basically unrecognizable. That's all that. Anyway, so in 2016, as of course, I was making these Sparta Remixes, which I did my original stint in YouTube, downfall parodies, and those GMOD videos. But the quality wasn't as good as my quality now because, of course, I was using Windows Movie Maker, and of course, I had a digital camera, but it was an older one, which was dated from 2006. Yeah, I think it was. My dad got it for his birthday back then. So, and of course, I didn't have a smartphone until late 2017. Would you believe it? I mean, everywhere I could see people with their smartphones, but of course, my parents wouldn't let me have one until 2017. Well, which is a shame. But then there we go. I can't change that. So, I will also admit that around 2016 to 2017, there were some pretty cringy things that I did. I'm not going to state what it is, but I honestly find them too cringy to even watch now. So, it was kind of a mindset back then, you know, being 18, 19, still a teenager, or being a cool kid. Oh well, but of course, we also ended up having Brexit. If you live in the UK like I do, we all know how that went. It could have gone better, I know. I actually voted for Remain, but well, this is not what I'm here for. Also in 2016 is when I gradually began making some of the new Slavic Girls OCs. The original 4 you can see here, which I had up until 2016, but the first of the new one was here, Ivana, which is the cousin to Olga, and later Olga's older sister Maria, another cousin of Ivana, but I guess that was obvious. So you probably figured out that my persona is in love with. But I will say that there's this app called Kisekai, which I don't know if I pronounced it right, but without it, these OCs wouldn't be possible. Of course, I still wasn't part of the excuse me. Of course, I still wasn't part of the Thomas fandom by then, but I did see some brief indications of where the franchise was going at the time. Although really, I paid little attention to it, but there we go. So, yeah, Sparta Remixes, downfall parodies, and the occasional GMOD video was what I did that then, as well as some bell ring videos. Of course, I like ring church bell, as well as a few pipe organ videos, which I'll get to in a bit. So, 2017, well, much was the same. Although it was a bit less cringy, I don't know. Yeah, I still cringe at some of my older stuff. So, yes, although the quality was going to change as I finally got a smartphone. So, although it wasn't until 2018 where you really began to see a change in the quality, some stuff like recording church bells and church chimes and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, although this is not my first one, I got a newer one back in 2021. So, but this was also the year that the Slavic Girls had their first appearance in the downfall parodies, and it would also continue with subsequent parodies, starting of course with Ivana. I should also note, of course, why do I use anime voices for them even though they are from this part of the world. Well, put it simply, you know how everything is in German in the original Downfall, so...
1 battery charge later.
Sorry about that. My camera died and I had to recharge it. And I also took a bath, so that's why my hair is a bit wet. So, and there's also been a thunderstorm. Now, where were we? Right, the reason that I use Japanese voices for the girls, and the main reason is so that I could subtitle them and allow to subtitle phrases in their native languages. For example,
ソフトクリームあまり好きじゃないんです私。監督っぽいなって思ったら楽しくて。
as you can see here. It also matches the character's personality and what I would think they would sound like if they were real or actually appeared in an anime or cartoon or of sorts. So, the characters that I have, almost all of them have had the same voices, with 2 exceptions, Yaroslava and Tomislava. In the former's case, she used to have the voice of Mei from Overwatch, but the Japanese dub. But then when the Love Live Nijigaku anime came out, I switched it to Emma Verdi because, of course, they're just so alike. You can really see the similarities between the two. Tomislava, on the other hand, she used to have Neptune from Hyperdimension Neptunia, but then I switched her to Japanese Percy. Basically a shutter, but it kind of fits her cheerful personality. 2018 and 2019 is when the direction of my channel would change. After getting a new computer, I soon began getting Thomas-related recommendations appearing, and before that I had been watching a few Thomas videos, but not really enough to say that I was back in the fandom. But now I really began to feel the magnetic pull of the fandom that I was once part of, and it was clear that I was going to return to the Thomas fandom. Although the timing, Big World, Big Adventures, that was when that was coming out, aka Mattel's attempt at politics.
It is me, Mattel Guy. Let's go set politics in motion. Let's go on a political adventure.
So yes, even though it was Big World, Big Adventures, aka politics, it was, I was back in the fandom. 2019, that is when I began to focus on my refound love of Thomas and Friends. I had bought Trains A New Era because I wanted to make trains videos, but I still had Windows Movie. It would be a few months before I got Vegas. So, I began to collaborate with Sodor, who was on my Steam friends list for some time, and apparently he'd been watching my videos. So, we really started talking when I asked him for help with trains, and he gladly began to help me, and then we began to collaborate on his series Fantasy Forever. The biggest work would be Sodor vs. School Days, which of course features Thomas and his friends, Pokemon, the Jewel Pets, and some of the girls, which were Ivana, Patricia, Martina, and Maria. There was going to be a part 2, starring Yaroslava, her little sister Gabriella, Susanna, and Tomislava, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, Sodor Brody had to go to his parents' house because teaching had shifted online, and there was no purpose of him sticking around at his current residence, so it ended up having to be cancelled. I'll get to the effects of the COVID pandemic on me in a minute. So, August 2019, which was some months before that, I ended up getting Vegas with my adaptation of DuckTales Charge being my first video that I did on Vegas. Well, as I said in the last video, my hand was forced because there was this Windows update that ended up breaking Windows Movie Maker, and so I had no other choice, but I was planning to get Vegas for Christmas as well as Trains 2019, but with my hand being forced, I ended up purchasing Vegas, and of course, the quality changed pretty quickly. I also got back into the business of making YouTube poops now that I was into Thomas again. which was like my first poop in like 9 years. Or something or the other. Yeah. Sparta Remixes were less of a priority now, and I really didn't have that much time to deal with it now. So I think my last Sparta Remix was really in late 2018, so I kind of feel like I was losing interest in the whole Sparta Remix thing with my newfound love for the Thomas franchise. But I did do the 10th anniversary edition of the Sparta Extreme Bass. Then 2020, and of course the coronavirus pandemic, it didn't really put a dent into my video plans, but it did put a dent into my motivation at times, especially during lockdown. All I really wanted to do was just, I only felt like playing Team Fortress 2. Well, it was a game that I do love, but I haven't touched in a while because of lack of updates and all that. So yes, I pulled through, and of course it was the 75th year of the rail anniversary, and we all know what happened because of the pandemic. But it was an improvement in terms of what models I could use in the graphics. But then again, that was before the shitstorm of SP5, which happened whilst I was filming The Great Heatwave. Oh, and of course, came All Engines Go. And you know my thoughts on that. I don't even want to look at that sort of stuff now. On the plus side, I gained the Proteus instruments which were used between Season 3 and Season 7, which meant I can make my own Thomas theme music, and I've created quite a few Thomas themes, although my first themes were somewhat slurred because the notes were somewhat together, but then I realised to space them out a little bit so they sounded a bit more crisp and clear. So that was 2020 to 2021, and then things continued as much as they are today, but I eventually decided that I wasn't going to do any more Sparta remixes because, well, that was my original reason for joining YouTube, but I had moved on, and because I was so invested in the Thomas fandom, I decided to call time on it. So my last Sparta bass, of course, which I always wanted to do if I got the Proteus instruments, was create a Sparta bass using the Thomas and Friends Proteus instruments, which I did when I got them. So with that was a fitting end to my association with the Sparta Remix fans. So, and here we are today, and the current content which I make. So that's the history of me when it comes to YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more content. As I said in the first part, the next big train story project it will be when Thomas meets this hair metal band from Florida who are recording a music video, which is called Pink Adder, but I'm not going to say anything more else until I reveal things, because I've not even started on it yet. I've only got the band member names and the idea in my head, but yeah, so that's it. Bye.